where we share upcoming topics, guests, and of course interact with you. It's just one more way that you can be in the stream.
Hi, I'm Dr.Subramanian Swamy. I'm from Syria. I'm the founder of HINDUS.
They don't have a voice. Social media provides an outlet. It's a way to reach the world when traditional media ignores them. But once that voice is established online, as you're going to see from some of the tweets that'll come up behind me, can a group go too far in making its case, using abusive tactics on Twitter to stifle debate rather than engage? That's the accusation against so-called internet Hindus, or online supporters of Hindu nationalism. They follow a philosophy known as Hindutva, or Hinduness, which is a core principle of the RSS, or National Volunteer Organization. Here's what they believe.
In essence, Hindutva, or cultural nationalism, is the cornerstone of the RSS thought. Hindutva is a defining feature of Indian society. This implies an appreciation of the roots of Indian identity by its people, irrespective of religion. The RSS believes that the core unifying factor of Bharat is its ancient Hindu culture. This cultural oneness overrides socio-religious diversity of this country. Thus, to the RSS mind, every citizen is a Hindu, irrespective of his religion, caste, or creed, as he inherits the same culture of this land. The RSS considers this nation as one and rejects the idea of dividing it on religious lines as minority and majority. It believes that the so-called minority, a Jew, a Parsi, a Muslim, and a Christian too, is an equal inheritor of our heritage, as is a Sikh, a Jain, a Buddhist, and an atheist.
Sounds idealistic, even lovely. But many of India's minorities don't want to think of themselves as Hindu, and many Hindus see this movement as a challenge to India's secular democracy. So, who are the internet Hindus? What are their goals, and how are they related to the broader Hindu nationalist movement? Joining us now via Skype from New Delhi is Sagarika Ghosh. She's an award-winning Indian journalist and author. She coined the term internet Hindus after being attacked on Twitter by nationalist users. Also in New Delhi is the former Minister of Commerce and President of the Janata Party, Subramanian Swamy. He is a hero to many of the so-called internet Hindus. Both of you, welcome to the stream.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Now, I know many online Hindus don't like the name, and we're going to get to that. But Sagarika, I want to start with a question from you, and it is from one of our followers on Twitter. Straight Hindu asks, why internet Hindu? Coin a term for a group, then give it a bad name via paid media you work for. All right, so why did you call them internet Hindus?
Lisa, mine was just a descriptive term of the Twitter community that exists on Twitter, on Facebook. These are online communities that are very well organized and that, as you say, hold to the ideology of Hindu nationalism. And certain issues such as minorities or Pakistan or Narendra Modi, the incredibly popular BJP Chief Minister of Gujarat, these are issues on which these communities attack you if you differ with them. They will come after you, they will bounce on you, they will call you liberal and pseudo-secular and anti-national and traitor, subversive. These are the kind of words they use. So my word was simply to describe this community of people that exists online, a number of them very Islamophobic, I have to say, very anti-liberal, in the classical definition of liberal, and particularly going after what they perceive as pseudo-secular or liberal secular people, and their view is that the media in India is Congress, is loyal to the Congress, loyal to the party of the day, loyal to dynasty, they're all paid by the Congress party, which is
right. And Sagarika, I want to get to the topic of media and the perception that people have of it in a minute. But first, Subramanian, I want to ask you, what's wrong with the term internet Hindu? In so many other ways, people are proud to be identified as Hindu. Why does this offend in this case?
Well, it's offensive in the case as if this is a microbe or some kind of people from another planet. It only happens that the print media and the visual media had an intermediary, the editor or the owner and so on. And this internet has now made it possible to do away with the intermediary, and the people relate to each other directly. And as far as this abuse and attack is concerned, it's on both sides. I receive a lot of hate Twitters. They say all kinds of things. They say similarly the other side also gets an attack of this kind. So what's happened is that the Hindus who didn't find a voice in the traditional media are suddenly finding themselves not alone or isolated, but a very large number. In fact, they now think they are the majority in the country.
Well, Sudan, and this is a term, of course, that is causing some debate among our community. Abdul Wadud says the term Internet Hindus is flawed. Hinduism preaches peace. Internet abusers are cursing peaceful religion of Hinduism. Himmanpan says if the Internet Hindus hardly involved in religious preachings, why term them specifically as Hindus? And last, a tweet that says, I reject this term, Internet Hindus. I'm Hindu by birth, by behavior, at home, in public, and on Internet, it comes by default. So is there a problem with using that term?
I don't see a problem with the term as long as it is clearly defined. However, I would disagree with slightly with the characterization both of Sagarika and yours, in the sense that I don't think that I would not describe everybody who subscribes to Hindu nationalism as an Internet Hindu. There are perfectly reasonable people who may have a point of view that you and I disagree with, but they are not Hindu. They are not Internet Hindus. What happens here, what I'm talking about, and what I believe Sagarika was speaking about, is a specific kind of person who is abusive, who is not reflective, who is not interested in any kind of serious engagement, and is, normally I characterize these people as having, 50 followers and 5,000 tweets. I mean, these are people who have found a megaphone suddenly in Twitter, or believe they found a megaphone, and use it to troll and chase people and make themselves offensive. But that is not, it's very different. There are serious people on the Hindu right in India who are not Internet Hindus, who are serious, thoughtful political analysts who may hold a different view about what India's, which the kind of secularism India should follow and so on. So to call anybody who is a Hindu nationalist an Internet Hindu, I think is just inaccurate. So we should clear that up right at the outset.
But safe to call an Internet Hindu somebody who is definitely right-leaning? I
think yes. So the way I see it, that if you sort of look at it as a tide, what the Internet Hindus are the flotsam. So this is the most abusive fringe of a larger movement. You may agree or disagree with the movement, but it doesn't make the entire movement abusive. This is definitely the abusive fringe. So what we're talking about is an abusive, vocal, uncouth group of people who subscribe to Hindu nationalism, but it's a subset of the people who subscribe to it.
Subramanian, would you agree with that this is an abusive, vocal subset of people?
Well, I think that's a description not exclusive to the Hindus who are Hindu nationalists. It's also, there's such a group exists in the so-called secular group, and they are as abusive, they are as crude, and so on. So I don't think that this classification has any meaning at all. What's important is that the Hindus through the internet have found a voice, and leaving aside those who are abusive, which is a very small number, I would say a large number of them are getting to learn about their heritage. They're learning about things which the 200 years of British rule had distorted our minds into making out as if India was a creation of the British Empire, and the concept of a Republic of India was in 1947 when we got the freedom, and that is not an ancient nation. There were Aryans who came from Europe, and there were Dravidians who came from Africa. This kind of bunkum, which has now been exploded by modern science, especially the DNA studies, they will now realize their new assertion that they have an identity, and that identity is a Hindu identity in a cultural sense. That is, both Muslims and Christians are also of a Hindu ancestry, and therefore we all relate to the past of India. That kind of identity has come to represent this generation, which communicates through the internet.
Well, speaking of Muslims and Hindus, Sagarika, I want to get your thoughts on this because there's a video comment left by a member of our community directly for you. Have a listen.
Hi, my name is Jigish and I'm a proud US-based internet Hindu. My question is for Mrs. Sagarika Ghosh. Madam, on many counts in your talk shows and debates that you participate in, you have used the term saffron terrorism. Yet, in any of the cases, you have never used the term green terrorism. Can you please elaborate why you are being selective in maligning a religion? Thank you.
Are you being selective and are you maligning a religion?
Green terrorism? I mean, if he's talking about Islamic terrorism, this is a subject on which we are covering every day. So I don't see what the issue is there. I find that question strange, to say the least. There are elements of the Hindu fringe groups that are engaged in violent activities and that are engaged in extremist activities. There are Hindu right-wing groups that are involved in terror activities that has been investigated, it's under investigation, and those are the stories that we're covering. That doesn't mean that we're not covering the big acts of Islamic terror that exist in India as well. So I really don't see what the issue is here. You know, Lisa, I just want to make a point here about the internet Hindus, is that, you know, there is a mythification of the enemy. There's a demonization of the enemy. The enemy is the liberal, secular media, which is groveling at the feet of the establishment, which is socialist, which is left-wing, which is liberal, which is elitist. That is just so not the case. You know, the media today is just exploding. We cover every political party. We cover every issue. We cover every politician. We cover the Congress. We cover the BJP. We cover left-wing. We cover right-wing. So it's not a question, you know, just mythifying an enemy and making this liberal aristocracy the enemy that we have to fight against with our grassroots nationalist credentials is really not, it is a binary opposition that doesn't exist. It's in the mind completely. I also want to say that, you know, there are two conflicting versions of nationalism. There is the secular nationalism of the Congress, which is very flawed. As Sadanand pointed out, the secularism practiced by the Congress has got a lot of vote bank politics, short-term interests, all kinds of cynical motivations. And there is the Hindu nationalism of the Sangh Parivar of the BJP. This is the right-wing and the sort of middle left-wing poles of Indian politics. Now, for some reason, the internet Hindus believe that the media is colonized by the Congress-leaning, secular, left thought, which is absolutely not the case.
Okay. Now, I want Subramanian, I want to give you an opportunity to respond. Sagarika is saying the media is doing a good job. She's saying it's representing your position fairly. Do you think that's the case?
No, not at all. And in fact, when the Hindu nationalists talk about the media, they're not talking about the media in general. They're talking about the English media. They're generally speaking not much complaint against the language media. We have so many languages in our country and they all have their television station. The focus is on this English media, which is essentially rooted in the in its perspective and its admiration with the West, and that's what is being targeted. And it's not the media as a whole, let me say that. And what I think is that as far as this targeting is concerned, this demonizing is concerned, it was both sides. I mean, the liberals have done that, and I have been through much of that. I've lost my tenured professorship at the Indian Institute of Technology because I advocated market economy when I said the socialism of the Soviet Union will not work in India. And it has happened